Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. In this episode, we'll be back here at the cargo hub, taking a look at some of our lines coming in and out of here, fixing some of our finances across the map, and hopefully making a few more connections to this whole compound. So the first thing we're going to do is come into our finances tab, as it's been a little bit since we've done that, or I suppose this is the line statistics tab. Sort by balance, so this tells us which lines are doing good and which lines are doing bad. We can see we have a few lines doing not so great, so the goal of this video will be to fix those and get those making a profit. However, on the flip side, let's take a look at some of the trains that are making us a bunch of money. That includes our Jackson to Santa Clarita train, as that's making 28 million. If we come here, take a look at the finances of these trains, we can see they are doing very well in terms of their finances, so that's good. The next one is a cargo train, so it's good to see a variety of trains up here. If we take a look, looks like sometimes it's able to get significantly more, but a lot of times it's able to get one trip in per financial period, however it calculates this. And the rest of them are, for the most part, a bunch of passenger lines. We even have a truck line up here making us a bunch of money. If we take a look at the Montgomery Steel line, so that seems to be doing us pretty well. However, our main goal is going to be getting to the bottom of some of these numbers, where some of these might just be an issue due to the line being really long, and so it could just be a temporary number, and in other cases there could be other things going on that we need to take a look at and fix. So let's start off here with this train, our cargo hub to Mesa line, that is currently losing us the most money. Now if we take a look at the current train, it's actually carrying almost a full load, besides maybe a few fuel cars not being completely full. And you can see here the trip is very long, so it's very up and down, the finances chart. However, it doesn't seem like it's really making a profit over the long run. Occasionally it looks like it's able to cover the expenses of the next period, but the profit margin it's running at is pretty slim. Some other just general issues with this train is its top speed is only 55 miles an hour, which is on the slower end of some of our cargo trains around the map. So that might also factor into that, especially over such a long distance. A train like this, that loss in speed really adds up over time. So the first thing we're going to do, I think, is going to edit the vehicle, but I think we should first come over to the city, see if this train needs to be adjusted for more or less resources, as it looks like it's getting everything, but it could definitely use more goods and construction materials. I'm not even sure. Well, I think the construction materials come from this construction materials plant directly, so this train doesn't need to carry them. Goods, it has a good amount of those. So I think what's happening is the low numbers here in Mesa are simply due to how long it takes for the train to go between. So maybe 2 trains running on this line won't be a bad thing. And if we come over back to our cargo hub, we can take a quick look at the platform and see there is a good amount of things waiting here. The platform is currently full, so maybe that's causing some issues, but it can always fill up the buildings, which it's not doing at the moment. So I think we'll try 2 smaller separate trains and see what happens there. So we'll come over, find the train wherever it's at. I think it's farther up here. So we'll manage the vehicle, and I think we'll edit the vehicle. We'll get rid of 3 tank cars. I think the box cars are just fine. I think we have more than enough of those. We'll get rid of the engine, and so the hard part's going to be finding an engine that we can replace this with. So I think what we'll try to do is 2 of these EMD SD 40-2 engines. This raises the top speed by 10 miles an hour. Our power rating is a little bit lower, but we do get a higher top speed, and with 2 engines we're able to reach that top speed much quicker, especially considering that we have quite a big hill to climb about halfway through this line. So I think we'll try out this. We'll modify that train, and then I think we'll also duplicate it. So now we have 2 of those trains running. And if we did this right, it should be coming out of this train depot here, which is currently on the opposite end of the line as the other one. So we don't even have to worry about spacing these engines out, and hopefully this will start to make us money continuously, especially with 2 lines running. So now the next line we can take a look at in our line statistics tab is this one, which is our machines to the cargo hub. And this one's a little interesting since I thought that being the only one that brings machines in, it would do a little better. But perhaps it looks like we're running out of steam here in terms of planks. So maybe we have to get more planks over to this machines factory before it can be fully utilized. We can see it is getting transported to places, so there's definitely demand. So if we take a look at some of the trucks that are coming into the machines factory, they're only about half full as they make their way in here. So that's definitely something we need to take a closer look at and see if maybe there's a way we can fix it. So over here at the sawmill, we can see there's definitely room for it to produce more. And if we come over to this forest, it is being fully maxed out. However, it's not transporting all of the wood out of here. So I think maybe we can upgrade these vehicles as they are a little bit old. I think we're currently using these trucks, but maybe we could use, I guess maybe we could use these tarpaulin trucks. So yeah, let's go with these tarpaulin trucks, and we'll repaint these to give them a little bit different of a look. We'll go with a light green. I guess that looks alright, but that should get the rest of the wood that's waiting here over to the sawmill. It might take a while to see the results of that, as the truck line is pretty long. We can see they have to come across this highway pretty much all the way over to the machines factory. And another thing we could probably do is maybe we don't need these trains to be so long at the moment. So this train just came and picked up a load, and it's not even half full, so I think we can come in, manage the vehicles, edit them, and we'll just get rid of a few of these box cars. I think maybe that's good enough, so we'll modify those. Hopefully they'll start traveling a little bit fuller, and with the increase of planks hopefully coming soon, we should see that reflected in a little bit. So now we can take a look at our next line, and the next line is the Montgomery goods line, which is probably just a weird off thing. As we can see here, it does for the most part make money, as it just dropped a load off at the cargo hub, so that number is obviously not well representative of how well it's actually performing. I think our goods factory is still doing pretty good. It's almost at max efficiency. However, the plastics line could still be improved. And I think it's getting enough oil. I think maybe we need to upgrade some of the vehicles and adjust them since there seems to be a backup here. So coming back over to the oil refinery, this seems to be doing well. There seems to be a good amount held up here still. We are still maxing out the oil well, and I believe 3 ships, or I guess we only have 2 ships on here, is still good enough. However, we could always bring in more if we wanted to, as we have this oil well down here. But I think first what we'll try to do is upgrade the vehicles, and then see if we need to improve the oil refinery to produce more oil. So let's first grab these trucks, and we did just unlock a new set of trucks. So these are slightly faster than some of our previous trucks, and I guess the only thing we can do is go with these cargo or tanker trucks. So we'll replace all of those, and I don't think we need quite as many, so we'll sell 5 of them. Since they do have significantly higher capacity and top speed, hopefully selling 5 of those will work out. And then over here on this end, these trucks we could probably replace. And for these, I think we'll replace them with just the standard box trucks. So we'll do that for this line, and hopefully we'll see that then reflected through the production chain. So it seems like we might just be starting to reach a traffic issue here at this truck station. I think we should be able to pretty easily just add another platform in here without really destroying what we've done before. I think that fits in pretty well. It still keeps us outside of this fence, which is good. And then all we would have to do is switch one of these terminals to be all the way over here, and we should see this clear up. And I suppose while we're working on this, we might as well replace the street access to one of these. However, it doesn't seem to want to do that. I forget if we placed a collision tile here or not, and that might be giving us issues. Maybe we just have to delete some of these fences. I'm not sure if the fences have collision. Alright, so it seemed like the fences might have had something to do with it, but now we can replace that. We'll have to come back and replace the fence, but we can go back to letting this run. Alright, while the fence isn't perfect, it's pretty close enough, especially from a distance, so I think we're good to leave this off now. So now we can move on to the next line, and we already figured out this cargo hub to Mesa line. We'll just have to keep an eye on it. Machines to cargo hub we're working on, and then it looks like the only other big one is our recent steels to machines line. And if we take a look here, it looks like it doesn't have that much. So let's take a look up here and see if maybe we could add another train, as this is definitely overloaded. So I think maybe what we could do is edit these existing trains that are on here, as I think 2 is more than enough. So I think we'll try to add 3 more to each train. It looks like that won't affect it too much. Yeah, we might even be able to add a 4th car if we really wanted to. But we'll modify both of those. We'll get a little bit more going through here. I believe this should still be set to 50-50, which is good. And hopefully, even though we don't really need the steel, we should see it pushing out more steel regardless. And so coming into our line statistics tab, it seems like there will be some lines that will come and go through here. Some of these we already worked on. Some of them are maybe just on a down period. But I do want to take a look at our cargo hub to Mesa line, as that still doesn't seem to be making us money. If we find the cargo hub and find the vehicles, if we pull up these, this one I think is returning to the cargo hub. This one is going out, and if we take a look, it's pretty full for the most part. So I'm not too sure why it wouldn't be making much money. I think maybe we need to let it run a little bit more still. Just seems a little odd that it's not working. However, this train is pulling up into Mesa, so if we give it just a little bit more time here, we can take a look and see if it's even making its money back, essentially. So we'll give this a few seconds and take a look at that then. So taking a look at what it just dropped off, it did just make 23 million, which, taking a look at the expenses, should cover the cost if it misses a period. We come in here, the running cost is only 9 million a year, so even if it takes 2 financial periods to go on this route, it should still be operating at about a $5 to $6 million profit. I think maybe this line is just so long, we haven't seen that fully reflected yet. So, again, that'll just be another time situation. So I think that's all that we're going to do in terms of trying to fix some of these lines. I mean, just looking again on the other end of this, this one train covers probably all of our expenses just with how much it makes. So we're in no danger of starting to lose a bunch of money. So I think we're okay with a few lines running at a loss for now. So one thing I just quickly noticed here coming by Jackson and Scottsdale is a lot of our bus stations and tram stations are starting to get a good amount of people waiting, which that's not a bad problem to have. So I think we need to bump up our public transportation infrastructure in this area and maybe see what kind of improvements we can make there. So firstly, I want to take a look here at this station, and this I believe is mainly used by our trams. And if we take a look at our finances tab, it looks like our trams are actually making us a good chunk of money. It's not too much in the grand scheme of things, but it is a good amount. So let's see if we maybe have better trams unlocked yet. Now, I think these BE46 Mirage trams are probably the best ones we have unlocked at the moment. This one's bigger and has a slightly less loading speed, but it is lower on power, so it can't get up to its top speed quicker. And it's just almost twice as long, so it takes up a ton of space. So maybe we'll stick with these. These Toronto ones, they're pretty much the same thing besides having slightly less capacity and loading speed. It's not really better in any category. Even things like emissions. Looks like weight might be the only thing it has better than the Mirage ones. So maybe we'll just keep these trams and we'll duplicate and get 2 more. And we might as well do that on both ends. We'll get 2 more trams running on each loop. We can see a similar thing here, a bunch of people waiting for the tram. And this tram is pretty full and it's going to leave. One issue I do see with our trams is it does hold up our buses that are behind it. So maybe there's something there that we can fix with maybe waypoints or something, but I don't see it being a huge issue just yet. I don't see any like major traffic jams. It just seems occasionally a bus will get stuck behind a tram. Now this stop here is interesting because it's overloaded in both directions. So we come here, this bus line is making us money, so we could probably afford to upgrade or add more buses here. Let's just take a look at our buses quick. So I do still think that the Fishbowl bus is probably our go-to bus for at least city transportation. So let's get 3 more buses in each direction and see if that starts to soothe things eventually. And then the last big station I see that needs attention is this one here with 113 people waiting for this loop. And the Jackson side of our bus network is actually losing us money, but as we mentioned before, we can probably afford for some of these to run at a loss just so that things, other things function properly. So we'll just do the same thing and add 3 buses to each loop on the Jackson side, and hopefully we'll be able to keep those numbers a bit lower now. And now something interesting I just found out and took a look at here with our Jackson Scottsdale bus loop that brings people to our train station. It's actually not doing too great anymore, and I think that coincides with when we've added trams in. As you can see, a pretty sharp drop off, and I think that's due to this station here technically being connected to our train station. So I think this is now acting as sort of what this used to be, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, that does mean that these buses are probably starting to be pretty obsolete. As we can see here, there's not really a huge amount of people waiting in each loop. So just to help get some excess traffic off the roads, I think first we can probably sell up to 6 on each side. Well, this one only ever had 10, which is weird. Maybe... Okay, so we're just looking at the wrong line, but we can sell 6 on the other loop, and then I think we'll replace these for some slightly different buses, as these ones are pretty expensive for what they are. They're not powerful, they're not the quickest things either, they don't have the fastest loading speed, so I think again we'll go with these GM fish bowls. However, we will color them to give them a bit of a distinction. We'll make this one sort of the orange color that that line has, and then we'll manage these vehicles, replace them as well with some fish bowls, and we'll give those a light pink color to match that line color as well. I mean, we can also just see visually everyone using this station now to get to the train station by the amount of them just walking up here, which isn't a bad thing. It's kind of nice. It provides a little bit of life to this area, so I kind of quite like that. And we still do have some people walking to this bus station, so it's not a bad thing overall. It's just we had to sort of shift where our priorities are. Alright, now while we're here, we can also take a look at our Jackson train station, and it looks like our Jackson, Winston-Salem, Albuquerque line is taking up all of the space in this station, so I think it's about time we get another train on this line. So we'll just duplicate that. We'll get a third one, see how that does. Hopefully it works out. We can look here. There's still a good amount of people waiting at this station to go to Jackson. One thing we could do is, well, I guess we can't add any of these side buildings here, but I think hopefully we'll be able to get that number down pretty soon. Our Albuquerque station's doing just fine on this end, no issues there. And checking in San Jose, this train is doing fine. The station's not overloaded. Looks like our bus network isn't terribly overloaded either. Although, maybe we could just afford a few extra buses. Like so. Now, one thing I do want to do is maybe help bring up Birmingham a bit more. We haven't really given it much attention. It doesn't even really get any cargo at the moment, as we're still sort of figuring out how we're going to do that eventually. but I think one way we can definitely start to improve this city is first coming through and upgrading all the roads, and then I think this city would look quite nice with a little tram network through it. I kind of like how this city's on the smaller end and it's sort of quieter, so I want to keep that feel over here. I think a tram line would help complement that quite nicely. Alright, so we have all the streets upgraded. The city gets a little weird out here, but I think that's fine, as it's sort of almost like the suburbs of the city over here. Now, we want to get a tram network through the city, and we recently found these nice little stops here that I think would look pretty good if we could fit it in somewhere. And I think this would be a really nice addition to the area. So maybe we could even get it to fit right on this road here. But essentially, this will just be a really nicer looking tram track that would really fit with the city, give it a nice park at this train station, and also get our stops off of the streets so that they don't block up traffic. Alright, so I think this will be almost just as easy as placing this down here, or you know, we could also connect it like so, and we could get maybe a loop on one side. I don't think that would look terrible. Actually, I think we will do that. We will have a loop here, and that'll just allow for trams to come in, turn around, and then go back out here. And this looks pretty nice. I like how it looks. And unfortunately, we can't edit it with the regular road tools. We do have to come in here and configure it. So it looks like we either get tram tracks all the way through here or we don't, but I'm okay with that. So yeah, we'll leave it as this. We'll reset up our bus loop. We might just leave this tiny bus loop as it is, and or maybe we'll have the bus loop come all the way out and around here, and the tram will just do the sort of main city area. So let's actually do that. So it looks like this bus comes in, loops around, which is pretty much exactly what we want for the bus. We will... I think we just need to add a bus stop here, and maybe one more up here. And I'm okay with keeping it as just one loop, as it's not too big yet. We'll just add that there, that up there, and that should be just fine. However, now it comes around a different way, as I think we'll force it to go in the way we want it to. So into this loop and back around. So that'll work out just fine. Next, we'll come through with, well, maybe we'll select our tram stops first. And we'll have one tram stop here. This will run in both directions. So we'll have a tram stop there. We'll have another tram stop here. And then it'll just be a simple 3-stop loop through Birmingham. And then we'll have to come through and electrify the road and give it tracks where we want it. So it'll just be this quick, simple square. And then lastly, I think we need to get a tram depot somewhere. And that should fit pretty well right along this set of tracks here. So I think we can place this pretty much right there, and that'll be just fine. Don't like that this is sort of stuck with the old brick road texture. That might be a mod that we have that's sort of breaking that. But anyway, we should be able to let this play. And we'll grab... let's just grab maybe 3 trams to go this way around the loop. And then we'll grab 3 more trams to go the other way. And so now that we have our trams starting to go through and everything working, let's manage our buses, as these are still very old. And these we will do as, I guess, the GM fish bowls yet again. We'll give those a brown color. And I think we might even duplicate 4 of them. We'll get it up to a nice even total of 10. And hopefully that will really raise up the population of Birmingham with much more public transportation, especially over in this area that didn't have it before. And I think it's really nice seeing this station area working. And finally, in terms of Birmingham, I just noticed that our train tracks coming to and from Birmingham are still the slower standard tracks. So let's just come through and upgrade it all to these high-speed rails, as I believe the engines that we're currently running can get up to a top speed of, I think it's 110. So we're losing out on about 45 miles an hour, I believe. So getting this upgraded and sort of modernized is definitely much needed. So already we can see this train starting to accelerate even faster. If we take a look into its details, its top speed is indeed 110 miles an hour. So that should also help further enhance how many people we can get in and out of the city at any given moment. And now lastly, to sort of finish out this video, taking a look yet again at our line statistics. We only have 2 lines that are pretty outstanding. The first one is the machines to cargo hub line, which we already took a look at and sort of identified some of the issues we have there. And the other one is the Modesto's tool to cargo hub line. This one's also an interesting case. I think we maybe just need to connect to more cities, as we are almost at 100% transport in every city. And it doesn't seem like anything's really getting held up here. Perhaps maybe we could get a few more logs out of here. So let's actually manage this line, and I think just simply upgrading these vehicles should reflect pretty well in terms of the production at the tools factory. Now we can probably afford to sell a few of these trucks, as they are very big and carry a lot compared to the other trucks that we were running, but we should see that trickle down to the tools factory and then into the finances of the line itself. So anyway, with that, that's all that we're going to do in this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.